For this last video, we're going to be looking at dividing two functions. And so here I have f of x is equal to x squared and g of x is equal to square root of x. I want to find f over g of x. Well, we learned that f over g of x is the same thing as f of x divided by g of x. Well, my f of x is x squared, so I have x squared over the square root of x. And now here we're going to be using our quotient property. However, I need to first change the square root of x to be an exponential form. And so this is going to equal to x squared over x to the 1/2. And so we learned with our quotient property that we subtract the exponents. So this is the same thing as x to the 2 minus 1/2. And so that means that f over g of x is equal to x to the 3/2. Now I need to look at my domain. So we already talked about in this previous video that the domain for both of these we're multiplying was x is greater than or equal to 0. Because of this square root of x can't be negative. However, we also see when we're dividing that x also can't equal to 0, because if x were equal to 0 here, I end up with a 0 in the denominator. So instead of my domain being x is greater than or equal to 0, my domain is just going to be x is greater than 0. And then now we're going to evaluate this function when x equals 9. So I have f over g of 9 is equal to 9 raised to the 3/2 power, which is the same thing as the square root of 9 raised to the 3rd power, which is equal to 3 cubed, and so I get 27. So now let's look at one more. So here I want to divide again, so I have f over g of x is equal to f of x over g of x. So my f of x is 6x, and my g of x is x raised to the 3/4. And so again here I want to go ahead and subtract those exponents. My x here is really raised to the 1st power, so this will be the same thing as 6x to the 1 minus 3/4. And so that means that f over g of x is equal to 6x raised to the 1/4 power. Now I want to look at my domain. Here, since my g of x is raised to the 3/4, I know the same thing as taking the 4th root. And the 4th root, since that's an even index, x has to be non-negative, so it has to be greater than or equal to 0. However, because of x to the 3/4 being in the denominator, x cannot equal to 0. So my domain here is x is greater than 0. And so now, evaluating this function when x is equal to 16, I get 6 times 16 raised to the 1/4 power. Well, 16 raised to the 1/4 power is just 2, and so I have 6 times 2, and so my answer here is 12.